Welcome back to Curious Kids HQ. Today we're traveling to a place where science and myth come together in the most incredible way. A place so unique it looks like something out of a fairy tale. It's called the Giant's Causeway, and it's located along the rugged coastline of Northern Ireland. This amazing place is made up of about 40,000 hexagonal stone columns that fit together like a giant puzzle, creating a natural pathway that leads into the sea. But here's the question. Was the Giant's Causeway created by the forces of nature, or by a mighty giant with a plan? Let's dive into both the science and the legend behind this stunning site. To understand how the Giant's Causeway was formed, we have to go back almost 60 million years. Back then, this part of Northern Ireland was very different. Instead of cool green hills and coastal cliffs, the land was covered in active volcanoes. When these volcanoes erupted, they spewed out tons of molten basalt lava. The lava spread across the landscape, creating a massive, glowing hot flow that eventually began to cool. Now, here's where the magic of geology takes over. As the lava cooled down, it started to crack. Imagine a mud puddle drying up. It starts to split and form small cracks. The same thing happened here, but on a massive scale. The cracks in the cooling lava deepened and expanded, creating tall, hexagonal columns of stone. These columns fit together so perfectly that they look like they were crafted by hand. Over millions of years, the surrounding landscape eroded away, revealing the pattern of interlocking columns we see today. So, in short, the Giant's Causeway is the result of a volcanic eruption and the natural cooling process of lava. But wait, that's only part of the story. The scientific explanation is fascinating. But the locals in Northern Ireland have a story that's just as amazing, if not more. According to legend, the Giant's Causeway wasn't built by nature at all. It was built by a giant named Finn McCool. The story goes like this. Finn McCool was an Irish giant who was known for his strength and bravery. One day, Finn heard about another giant living across the sea in Scotland, a fearsome giant named Benandonner. The two giants exchanged some not-so-friendly words, each claiming to be the strongest. Eventually, they decided to settle their argument with a good, old-fashioned fight. But there was one problem. Finn and Benandonner were separated by the North Channel, the stretch of water between Ireland and Scotland. Finn couldn't just swim over to Scotland for a fight, so he had to come up with a creative solution. Using his enormous strength, he began to pick up massive stones and place them into the sea, creating a pathway, or causeway, that stretched all the way to Scotland. Once the causeway was complete, Finn set off across the sea to face Benandonner. However, as he got closer, he realized just how big his opponent was. Benandonner was huge, much larger than Finn had expected. Suddenly, Finn wasn't so eager to fight after all. Thinking quickly, he ran back to Ireland and asked his clever wife, Una, to help him come up with a plan. Una decided to disguise Finn as a baby. She wrapped him up in a blanket and placed him in a giant cradle. When Benandonner arrived in Ireland looking for Finn, he saw the baby in the cradle and was shocked. If the baby was this big, he thought, then how big must Finn McCool be? Frightened, Benandonner fled back to Scotland, tearing up the causeway as he went to prevent Finn from following him. And so, all that remains of Finn's bridge to Scotland is the Giant's Causeway, which we can still see today. Today, the Giant's Causeway is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which means it's protected for people to appreciate and enjoy for generations to come. Thousands of visitors come each year to walk among the stone columns, explore the rocky coastline, and marvel at the patterns left by ancient lava flows and the myths of giants. Even though the Giant's Causeway is now a peaceful place, the weather and waves constantly shape it, slowly wearing down the rock. It's a reminder that nature is always at work, whether it's through fiery volcanoes or gentle ocean waves. The Giant's Causeway is filled with interesting details, from the shape of the stones to the wildlife that calls this area home. Here are some fun facts about this magical site. Hexagonal shapes. The columns at the Giant's Causeway are mostly hexagonal, but there are some with 4, 5, 7, or even 8 sides. This natural pattern is a result of how the lava cracked as it cooled. The Giant's Boot. Among the rocks, you can find a giant stone that looks like a massive boot. Locals call it the Giant's Boot, and according to legend, it's one of Finn McCool's lost shoes. Other causeways. Did you know there's a similar formation on the Scottish side? The Fingal's Cave on the Isle of Staffa has similar basalt columns, which adds to the idea that the causeway once stretched all the way across the sea. Birds and seals. The coast around the Giant's Causeway is home to many kinds of wildlife. If you visit, you might spot puffins, cormorants, or even seals lounging on the rocks. If you ever have the chance to visit Northern Ireland, the Giant's Causeway is a must-see destination. You can walk along the tops of the columns, explore tide pools, and enjoy the stunning coastal scenery. The local visitor center offers exhibits and guided tours that explain both the science and the legend of this amazing place. For those who can't visit in person, many online tours and videos allow you to experience the magic of the Giant's Causeway from anywhere in the world. It's like stepping back in time to a place where giants might have roamed and volcanoes shaped the land. The Giant's Causeway is a place where two worlds meet, the world of science and the world of legends. On one hand, it's a perfect example of how volcanic activity and the natural cooling of lava can create stunning geological formations. On the other hand, it's also a land filled with stories, myths, and the adventures of Finn McCool, the clever giant who built a bridge to Scotland. Standing among the hexagonal pillars, it's easy to imagine giants walking along the rocky path, battling with wits and strength. And whether you believe in the power of volcanoes or the strength of giants, one thing is certain: the Giant's Causeway is one of the most unique and fascinating places on Earth. Thanks for joining us on this journey, curious kids. The Giant's Causeway shows us that sometimes places are special not just because of how they were formed, but because of the stories people tell about them. Whether you're fascinated by the science of lava flows or the tale of Finn McCool, this place has a little bit of magic for everyone. Stay curious, keep exploring, and who knows what wonders we'll discover next time on Curious Kids HQ.